Once again, Donald Trump is proving to be a loser, and this time it was up against a former MI6 agent known as Chris Steele. Yes, the very person who released the Steele dossier, which caused a lot of controversy in 2016. Christopher Steele was head of the Russia desk at MI6, he was also British intelligence service, and he now co-founds a private intelligence firm called Orbis Business Intelligence. The dossier was created in 2016, it was funded by the Democratic Party, but also by a Republican donor. In 2017, BuzzFeed published the dossier, and its contents were pretty interesting. There were 5 parts to the dossier claims: collusion, compromising material, hacking, communication exchanges, and financial exchanges. The dossier claimed that there were direct links between Trump's campaign and the Russian government, and that both parties were aware of the collaboration. It suggested that the Russian government had been supporting Trump for years. One of the most damaging claims was that the Russian government had compromising material on Trump, including quite horrific claims about getting sex workers to do stuff on the bed that Barack Obama had once stayed in.
Beep, beep, tape. Beep, beep, tape.
As well as allegations of sexual misconduct by Trump during the 2013 trip to Moscow for the Miss Universe pageant.
So many friends in Russia.
In Moscow, Trump solidified his friendship with Russian billionaire Aras Agalarov, who is sometimes called the Donald Trump of Russia. Agalarov reportedly put up much of the pageant budget. In return, Trump agreed to allow Agalarov's son Emin to perform at the pageant.
There were also claims that the dossier had alleged that the Trump campaign had agreed to sideline Russian intervention in Ukraine as a campaign issue in exchange for assistance in the form of the Democratic National Committee email hacks and their dissemination via WikiLeaks.
She gets subpoenaed, and she gets rid of 33,000 emails. That gives me a problem. Now, if Russia or China or any other country has those emails, I mean, to be honest with you, I'd love to see them. Russia, if you're listening, I hope you're able to find the 30,000 emails that are missing. I think you will probably be rewarded mightily by our press.
It was claimed that there was exchange of information between the Trump campaign officials and Russian operatives.
Despite Russians wanting to help, everyone around him was too inept to work with them. Another, even more ridiculous case of Cohen bungling contact with Russians involved Dmitry Klokov, a former press secretary to Russia's energy minister. Klokov's ex-wife had contacted Ivanka, offering his assistance to the Trump campaign. So, that is someone with ties to the Russian government offering help to elect Trump. Ivanka forwarded that email to Cohen, who Googled Dmitry Klokov and concluded that the person they must be talking about was a former Olympic weightlifter by that name, a man who has videos online like this. And from all appearances, the real Klokov kept trying to set up a meeting between Trump and Vladimir Putin, but Cohen basically blew that proposal off, which may not be surprising, given that, even during his interviews with Mueller, Cohen still appeared to believe that the Klokov he spoke with was the Olympic weightlifter.
And all of this caused absolute chaos.
Every time Russia's brought up, they say, oh, Trump, what do I have to do with it? I have nothing to do with Russia, folks, okay?
Are there any ties between Mr. Trump, you or your campaign, and Putin and his regime?
No, there are not. It's absurd, and there's no basis to it.
Absolutely not, and I discussed that with the president-elect just last night. Those conversations never happened.
Of course not. Why would there be any context between the campaign? Chris, this is all a distraction.
So no collusion whatsoever between anybody involved with Trump and anybody involved with Russia in the 2016 campaign?
No. How many people have to say that there's nothing there before you realize there's nothing there?
And because of this leak, Chris Steele had to go into hiding.
It was quite a shock when it came out. And as some people may know, I decided to go into hiding basically for a month or two to regather our strength and reassess where we were and all the rest of it. There were numerous threats against us. It's not that uncommon these days to get death threats if you're a public figure, but certainly it was quite a worrying time.
From 2017 to 2020, there were various investigations into Russian interference in the 2016 election, including the Mueller investigation. We start off with the Senate Intelligence Committee report. This was a bipartisan, so that's the Republicans and Democrats, releasing a report in August 2020, and it detailed extensive contacts between Trump campaign advisors and individuals with Russian ties. While it described the campaign's interactions with Russian operatives, it criticised the Steele dossier for relying on second-hand sources. The Mueller report, officially titled The Report on the Investigation into Russian Interference in the 2016 Presidential Election, didn't validate the claims made in the Steele dossier, but it did confirm Russian efforts to interfere in the US elections and identified numerous links between Russians and Trump campaign officials. And let's face it, there have been plenty of examples of Donald Trump backing Russia over the US and the Ukraine.
People came to me, Dan Coates came to me and some others, they said they think it's Russia. I have President Putin. He just said it's not Russia. I will say this, I don't see any reason why it would be.
In 2022, a US federal judge dismissed a lawsuit by Trump against Steele and others relating to the Russian investigation. As for the UK lawsuit in 2023, Trump sued Steele or Orbis, his company, focusing on allegations of defamation and a violation of British data protection laws. However, Steele's defense was that the dossier wasn't intended for public release and that the lawsuit was filed too late.
And it was leaked in 2017, I believe, without your permission. What was that process like, watching it become public?
Terrifying.
As a result, the judge decided to throw the case out because it was, quote, bound to fail, and the subsequent order for Trump to cover Orbis's legal fees, meaning that Trump has now got to pay Orbis £300,000, or in US, $382,000. As we're seeing time and time again, Donald Trump is throwing his weight around as much as people are throwing their weight around in the law courts at Trump. But time and time again, Donald Trump continues to lose. Once again, thank you to all of my YouTube and Patreon supporters. You keep this channel going and growing. If you'd like to help, and I would really appreciate it, you could just do it by simply clicking the like and subscribe button. It's free. For anything else, just look in the description.